All right. Um, Welcome everyone to day one, um, episode one of what is hopefully going to be a series of videos centered around one topic, which is finding a philosophy for life. Mm, my name is Gideon, and I thought I'd use this brief pilot episode, if you want, to just talk a bit about why I'm doing this, which will give you an idea of who I am and whether you want to subscribe to this or not. I mean, the world is in a pretty bad state, and there's a lot of suffering and, death and destruction going on. And, some people seem at a loss for explanations for all the chaos. And one of the fundamental reasons that is the case is that we all have our lives dictated by an ideology, or we have an ideology guiding our lives, and we need a philosophy. That's a short way of putting it, because an ideology, it tells you who your friends are, but it also tells you who your enemies are, and it appeals to certain people depending on their life's experience. And if a set of ideas isn't universally applicable to every human being, then what's it worth? Because all that means is that forever there'll be dispute about who's right and who's wrong. I mean, it's a very logical concept. It just seems that the majority of humanity has convinced themselves that that is the best we can do. Just keep on shouting over each other's heads about who has the better ideology for all eternity. I mean, that's crazy. Well, I know it's crazy now because I spent the past 10, 11, maybe 12 years even researching. I want to pass on the knowledge that I have been lucky enough to receive, because human beings dedicated huge amounts of time and energy and money, into acquiring knowledge, understanding it, and sharing it as well. I benefited hugely from that, and I thought the least that I could do would be to take that very, condensed knowledge that these people accumulated their entire lives and break it down even further into even more bite-sized pieces. That was the idea behind this channel. So just because it's bite-sized, that shouldn't, give you a wrong idea. I still think it's going to be fundamental stuff, very fundamental stuff. The reason I don't think it has to be much bigger than bite size is because I inherently know that life is simple. Life is quite simple. Truth is there to be understood, discovered, and known. We just don't see it because we're so distracted. The reason it's a philosophy for life is because I want to clearly separate anything I say from an ideology. Like, ideologies are evil, at least I haven't yet stumbled across one that isn't, because unfortunately there's part of every ideology that you end up in groupthink, and you have some people that believe in your ideology who are on your side, and everybody else is the enemy. And there's no ideology I've encountered that preaches, true freedom without coercion, without trying to coerce anybody that disagrees with you to get on your side, or even punish them for not being on your side, depending on how dictatorial your ideology has gotten. But excuse me a minute, I'm just going to pause this until this helicopter has passed. Okay, so where was I? Ideology versus philosophy. So I pulled up the definition of philosophy because I love it, and it's the Oxford Dictionary definition of philosophy, and it says the study of the fundamental nature of knowledge, reality, and existence. The study of the fundamental nature of existence. I mean, that seems to me to be a pretty good place to start, to be honest, in developing a framework that will allow you to conduct yourself, peacefully and in a way that doesn't encroach on the freedoms of others. So, my basic premise is that a human being has value, and that is easily provable, because clearly you are able to think about something, anything, like a concept or an idea, or a philosophy, and put that philosophy into sounds or into words, and convey those words by uttering sounds, which I can then decode and reconstruct that idea, that ideology, that philosophy, that thought in my head. I mean, that is a miraculous process, and we do it like it's nothing on a daily basis, all the time, in conversation. These ideas that we convey in such a manner are the foundation of inventions, art, collaboration, two parents raising that child. They're the basis of everything. And these ideas that have been conveyed in this manner, they have built the foundations of all the greatness and beauty we see in this world. So that shows you that a human being has value, or at least that it can have value, because obviously there are people that choose to do evil. The one thing that clearly separates us from the animal kingdom, I would say, is our capacity to choose. We are decidedly not bound by our instincts to the same capacity that animals are. We can make moral choices. We have a sense of what is right and what is wrong. And some people choose to do evil. But one crucial part of the fight against evil is to speak the truth. And, just for the sake of speaking. And it took me a while to figure that one out. But now I think it's the main reason I'm doing this. I want to say what I know to be true, just for this, for the sake of my kids, which I'm hopefully going to have, and future generations. It's called speaking truth to posterity, I recently learned. And you already hear me using the word truth a lot. Well, about that I just want to say truth simply means that which is. That's all it is. It's not this mystical state of enlightenment, that only a few of us could ever acquire. It is simply that which is, that which happened in the past up until the present moment. That's truth. And the simplest way for me to put why evil exists is because it has convinced most of us of things that are not. Mostly bad ideas. Bad ideas that we have accepted as being the only way in our heads. But an idea is a concept in your head. It's literally, it's not real. That's what I mean when I say we've been convinced of things that aren't real. For instance, that it was, the use of force suddenly became moral when we passed that right on to a government agent. That is an illusion, no matter how you twist it and turn it. And we have convinced ourselves that it isn't. That's what I mean when I say evil has convinced most of us of things that aren't. Now I'm doing this video series to bring everything that I've learned so far together, boil it down to what it is at its core, and hopefully achieve two things, like expose the evil and inspire solutions to fight it. A few disclaimers maybe. I'm not a native speaker, so I am aware that, I'll sometimes mispronounce words and maybe even use wrong words that don't really mean what I think they mean. So if those instances could be pointed out in the comment section, I'd be very grateful. So yeah, I think that should kind of answer all the questions there are. I can't wait to delve right into episode 1 with you. Thanks for listening.